What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video in this beginner Python series. In this video, we'll be talking about taking input from users and using that information throughout our program. If you didn't catch my previous videos in this series, I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so in our previous videos, we've discussed how we can store data in variables, which we can then use later in our program. For example, I can create a variable called name, and I can assign it to a string called, let's say, user name. So my variable name is storing the information of my value, in this case a string called user_name. This is great if we only ever had one person using our program and we just needed their one name. But what if we wanted other people to use our program or our app? What if we wanted to make it scalable so many people could use it? If we wanted to do that, we couldn't just assign our variable name to someone's specific name. We'd need a way for the user themselves to type in their name or to give us that data. So what we can do is use a function called input. This function allows a user to enter some type of information that will be used in our program. So now let's modify our previous example. Instead of name being assigned user_name, let's say the variable name is assigned to the input function. Notice how this box appears for us to type something. Since we know we're looking for someone's name, let's type one in. Let's do Jill this time. Notice how in this code editor, it's showing us our output of Jill. Let's pass our variable into a print function and see if Jill is actually stored in our name variable. And as we can see, it is. We have a problem though. How would a user know to enter their name? They're not going to be seeing our code. They're not going to see that our variable is labeled the word name. We need to give them some type of prompt or message so they know what the program is expecting. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to do. All we need to do is pass a prompt into the input function. So for example, let's type, please enter your name. Notice that my prompt is surrounded by quotes because my prompt is actually a string. And as we remember, all strings are surrounded by quotes. Now, if we run this, we should see our prompt appear next to our input box. Let's test our code again, but this time let's use a different name. Let's use YouTube as our name. As you can see, the new name also works. Now that we have this data, we can use it in our program. So for example, let's print a message to our user welcoming them to our program. First, we'll use the print function, and inside we'll type a message to our user. So let's type welcome to our program. Then we're going to separate our message with a comma, followed by our variable called name. Notice how we can use our variable, which is containing the user's input, in a customized print message that incorporates their actual entered name. Let's look at another example. Let's say we want the user's age. We're going to have to make a slight modification to our code. Let's create a variable called age, and let's assign it to our input function again. Let's now enter a prompt so the user knows what they're supposed to type in. So let's type into our prompt, please enter your age. Remember, your prompt has to be surrounded by quotes. Now look, the code will seemingly work fine. If I run this and print our age variable, we'll get whatever the user inputs. However, the input function assumes whatever the user inputs, that it's actually a string as its data type. However, in this case, we don't want a string. We want an integer. So let's check this by passing our variable age into our type function. As you can see, it comes up as a string. So we need to actually pass our entire input function into another function. This other function will attempt to convert whatever is inside of its parentheses to an integer. Do you remember what that function was called from the previous video? If you said the int function, you're right. So we're going to put this whole function into our int function. Let's run our code again and let's see what happens. And sure enough, our data type is now an integer, so our function worked correctly. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. It's much appreciated and will help the channel to grow. Thanks again everyone, and until next time.